One night, I got a call just as I was closing up the office to head home. It was Rachel, and I recognized it right away. The catch in her throat, the hurt in her voice. I rushed to meet her at the Starbucks around the corner from my office. From the running eyeliner and the red, puffy eyes, it was obvious it was really bad this time. She told me about Mike. 3 months ago, she was smitten and in love. They'd met at her best friend's wedding and instantly hit it off. He did everything right. He surprised her with lunch at work. He called literally every night, and he planned out fun and romantic dates. And Rachel felt like she had finally found the love that she had wanted so badly for so long. That was until 3 months later, when something happened that every woman dreads. Rachel first noticed the signs in Mike's voice. He was suddenly so quiet and distant, and Rachel didn't know why or what she had done wrong. Before, they were almost inseparable. You could practically feel the sparks fly between them. But now, the surprise drop-ins had disappeared. He no longer called at the end of the night, and anytime she texted him, he would respond hours later with short, one-word replies. Rachel kept calm and played it cool, but after 2 days of gut-wrenching silence, Rachel reached a boiling point. And even though she'd never meant to come off as needy, she left 8 missed calls on Mike's cell phone that night, and countless texts, which she could see he had read, but chosen to ignore. She went to sleep crying that night. It wasn't until the following afternoon that Mike finally responded. She almost let it go to voicemail, but changed her mind and picked it up at the last second. Rachel wanted to scream, but before she had a chance, Mike apologized and told her he had had a lot on his plate at work. He assured her everything was fine and suggested dinner the following night at their favorite restaurant. Then he promised he would call her the next day to nail down a time. Rachel had no idea Mike was only telling her what she wanted to hear. As Rachel hung up the phone, she felt like she could finally breathe again, and that night she slept like a baby for the first time in days. The next day, she even came home early from work to fix her hair and put on Mike's favorite dress. Then she waited for his call. Of course, Mike's call never came, and no matter how many times she texted him, he never responded. Mike had broken off the relationship. He disappeared from her life without a reason or a goodbye. And the worst part was, she felt too embarrassed to even call her friends for support. She didn't understand how something so perfect could shatter so quickly. I hadn't touched my coffee. I rubbed my eyes, cleared my throat, and asked if I could see her cell phone. I wanted to see how bad things actually were. My heart sank as I scrolled through pages of unanswered texts. But then, something caught my attention. It was the last text Mike had sent to Rachel before he pulled away. There was one phrase in it that jumped out at me. It was almost like a hidden plea for help. And that's when it hit me. On a hunch, we ran back to my office and dug through my notes from previous clients. Sure enough, buried in one of those notes was that same core phrase from Mike's text message. As I sifted through more of these notes, variations of the same phrase popped up again and again. I realized I had stumbled upon a pattern, and it struck me that this pattern was connected to a deep-seated obsession in every man's mind. That's when everything clicked. I suddenly knew exactly what Rachel had to do. It was a long shot, but I explained my idea to her. I told her that since Mike wasn't answering his phone, she needed to trigger his secret obsession, or what I now call the hero instinct, with a signal that would immediately get his attention. Even something like a text message or a Facebook message would work. So I gave Rachel a simple 12-word text that she could send to Mike, and even though I didn't realize it at the time, I had just created the very first secret signal, because hidden in those 12 innocent words was a subtle trigger phrase that was about to change everything. Rachel was skeptical at first, but as she read the words out loud, her eyes lit up and I knew it clicked for her. So she crossed her fingers and hit send. Rachel was shocked when that very night Mike showed up at her apartment door. It was his shaky voice that gripped her instantly and made her listen more intently to the words he spoke next. I've realized I won't be happy without you in my life. He never seemed more sure of anything. She immediately felt the relationship had changed, and it had. She began to see glimpses of a deeper side of Mike. He was so much warmer and more open, and he seemed healthier and happier too. Before long, they were deeply in love again. And to think, it all started with that one secret signal in Rachel's 12-word text message.